Have moved beyond. And it gives Daniels a chance to actually seem sympathetic and to kind of turn the tables, right? I mean, yes, obviously she accepted money in the form of a hush money payment. And she said, I wanted to get paid for telling my story. This was money actually to silence her. But originally she came forward to the National Enquirer trying to tell her story. But that's different from I wanted to get paid for having sex with Donald Trump, or you can't rely on me at all because I used to be an adult film star, which just seems like we should be past that, judging people in that way.
Right, and to be as linear as possible, in the Johnny Depp case, both he and Amber Heard were actors. It doesn't resolve the case to say, well, sometimes you pretended to be other people and you were paid to do that. And so likewise here, the fact that she has a job that the defense team referred to as at times fictional doesn't tell you much about whether she was under oath telling the truth today. And again, I remind viewers the jury's going to judge that. They have to decide who they believe. Emily, appreciate you joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Ari.
Absolutely. We'll see you again soon, I believe, as we cover the trials. When we come back, we look at the Fox News playbook and why it might have been the first draft of some of what the Trump lawyers are now saying in court.
You can't leave without cuddles, but you also can't leave covered in hair. With Bounce Pet, you can cuddle and brush that hair off. Bounce, it's the sheet.
I've been cooking most of my life after seeing my parents cook, so I stuck with some of the Spanish traditions, some of the Cuban dishes, and I like to cook my own food because I want to know what's in my food. Balance in Nature, it's already incorporated into my diet. I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance in Nature has. So I am taking the initiative to stay on Balance in Nature forever.
Get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Call or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code LOVE.
What's up?
Who are you?
I'm your inner child. Get in. Listen, what you really need in life is some freaking torque.
What?
Horsepower keeps you going, but torque gets you going.
What happened to my inner child craving love and acceptance?
How about you love and accept this? Power shot.
When can I drive?
Guardian!
The Dodge Hornet RT, the totally torqued out crossover. The virus that causes shingles is sleeping in 99% of people over 50, and it could strike at any time. Think you're not at risk? Wake up, because shingles could wake up in you. If you're over 50, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about shingles prevention.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Things are looking up, I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi is the first IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And the majority of people experience long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Now's the time to ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
We are people living with AFib. And over 400,000 of us have left blood thinners behind for life. We've cut our stroke risk and said goodbye to our bleeding worry with the Watchman implant. We may be getting older, but we've never squeezed more out of life. And we are just getting started. Join us at Watchman.com. Watchman, it's one time for a lifetime.
This morning my jeans fit fine, but look what happened by 5 p.m. It's waterproof. Fortunately, Diurex promptly relieves the bloat and discomfort. Feel like yourself again fast. Get Diurex for effective bloat relief.
There's so much ease with using BetterHelp.
I knew that I wanted to get help immediately. I was going to be able to see a therapist within that same week.
Now I feel so much more confident in expressing myself, and that's been a great gift.
Her uncle's unhappy.
I'm sensing an underlying issue.
It's T-Mobile. It started when we tried to get him under a new plan, but they unexpectedly unraveled their price lock guarantee, which has made him a bit
Unruly.
You called yourself the uncarrier. You're sick of that price lock on those commercials. The price lock. So if you can change the price, change the name. It's not a lock. I know a lock.
So how can we undo the damage? We could all unsubscribe and switch to Xfinity. Their connection is unreal.
And we could all unexperience this whole session.
Okay, that's uncalled for.
You may have heard that journalism is the first draft of history, which is never all that complimentary to us who work on this stuff, because it means, history gets it better than we do. But there's a twist on that in court that we wanted to dig into right now, which is whether Fox News has become the first draft of a one-sided Trump defense playbook. Because today in court, we heard Trump's lawyers try to discredit Stormy Daniels on cross-examination. And as I've mentioned, as a general matter, that's not only fine, it's kind of their job, but whether they went over the line with antiquated gendered attacks that are both unseemly or may backfire with the jury is a big question today. That's something a lot of legal observers are looking at. So the contradictions that they wanted to get at, the Trump lawyers, really drew attention to the idea that that could be somehow supported or buttressed by her history working as an actress, specifically an adult film actress. They brought up the number of movies she was in. They actually seemed to inflate the figure. They said Daniels had appeared in about 250 movies. She said over 150, 150-ish. The defense also tried to undermine her testimony that Trump had made her uncomfortable in their encounter. Quote, not the first time in your life someone made a pass at you, the lawyer asked. The implication, combining perhaps stigma or idea about Miss Daniels, her career, her life choices, or her look, is that somehow that is relevant to whether or not she's telling the truth. And again, let's remember, the jury has been asked to listen to her and decide, is she telling the truth? Did they have this encounter? Were there payments to cover it up? So a lot of this other stuff can feel very derogatory or just like throwing stuff at the wall. Now, several outlets covering this have looked at the problem. They've said the defense is effectively trying to shame the witness, and it raises the question, is this the kind of strategy that will work in court, which is the lawyer's job, or is it sort of a bubble of getting high on their own supply if their client and his media echo chamber have made them think these are great arguments?
Stephanie Clifford, who performs naked in online videos under the name Stormy Daniels.
How many men have you had transactional sex with? How is this any different? How many have there been? How many in the movie?
Stormy Daniels is now doing comedy, which is a step up from doing porn.
We are taking the most low and degrading kind of work a woman can do and somehow pretending that it's empowering of women.
Number one, why is it assumed that the porno actress and the ex-Playboy bunny are telling the truth?
Again, it is fair game in court to ask whether someone's telling the truth and look at the evidence that may support or contradict their claims. It is not a legitimate legal argument to say that you think that they have the kind of job that is full of liars. And again, if that is a gendered thing or a fiction thing, a lot of juries, especially nowadays, might not find it compelling. You say, oh, this guy writes novels, how could you believe him? Now, the defense lawyer said you have a lot of experience, quote, making phony stories about sex. Daniels replying on the stand, wow, that's not how I would put it. The sex in the films is very much real, just like what happened to me in that room. Now, there are many different aspects to all of this. We spoke just this week to a prominent women's rights attorney, Nancy Erica Smith, who discussed the importance and the dynamics here for Daniels' testimony.
The pearl clutching and the mistrial motions and some of the commentators saying, well, you know, she went too far when she said he blocked the door. Why are we always silencing women? Why can't we put total context why Donald Trump would break the law so that the American people never heard this.
It's a good question from an experienced lawyer, and on this matter tonight, she gets the last word. Why would MAGA lawyers and Trump's defense lawyers try to silence this woman, and why don't they have any better evidence, hard evidence, other than attacking her to show that maybe there's a different story? That is the question. And we have a lot more in the program tonight, including the chaos that continues to rile the Republican Party as their new speaker had to be bailed out by Democrats to fend off the right-wing Gates imitators. Tough week for the Republicans, and we have a special guest on that coming up.
In my bag like a bunch of groceries, all this cheese and greens just come to me.
Freedom you can't take your eyes off. The new 2024 Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. Jeep, there's only one.
Right now, during Jeep 4x4 season, get $2,000 bonus cash allowance on the 2024 Jeep Gladiator. Visit Jeep.com and hurry to your local Jeep dealer today.
When you have chronic kidney disease, there are places you'd like to be. Like here. And here. Not so much here. Farxiga reduces the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis.
Farxiga can cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. A rare, life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, an allergic reaction, or ketoacidosis.
When you have chronic kidney disease, it's time to ask your doctor for Farxiga, because there are places you want to be.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
The darkness of bipolar depression made me feel like I was losing interest in the things I love. Then I found a chance to let in the light.
Discover Caplyta. Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Caplyta is proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression. And in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain were not common.
Caplyta can cause serious side effects. Call your doctor about sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks in young adults. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Report fever, confusion, or stiff muscles which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements which may be permanent. Common side effects include sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, and dry mouth. These aren't all the side effects.
In the darkness of bipolar 1 and 2 depression, Caplyta can help you let in the light. Ask your doctor about Caplyta. Find savings and support at Caplyta.com.
Detect this. Living with HIV, Robert learned he can stay undetectable with fewer medicines. That's why he switched to Dovato. Dovato is a complete HIV treatment for some adults. No other complete HIV pill uses fewer medicines to help keep you undetectable than Dovato. Detect this. Marnina learned that most HIV pills contain 3 or 4 medicines. Dovato is as effective with just 2. If you have hepatitis B, don't stop Dovato without talking to your doctor. Don't take Dovato if you're allergic to its ingredients or taking dofetilide. This can cause serious or life-threatening side effects. If you have a rash or allergic reaction symptoms, stop Dovato and get medical help right away. Serious or life-threatening lactic acid buildup and liver problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, or if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or considering pregnancy. Dovato may harm an unborn baby. Most common side effects are headache, nausea, diarrhea, trouble sleeping, tiredness, and anxiety. Detect this. You could stay undetectable with fewer medicines. Ask your doctor about Dovato.
The excellence of driving a Buick is matched by the excellence of the dealership experience when you own a Buick. Buick, exceptional by design.
Sign and Drive is here. Get this ultra-low mileage lease on this 2024 Encore GX Preferred for around $343 per month with 0 due at signing.
So, you've been my advisors for what, 10 years? Now we're expanding into 12 states. You know that I love working with you guys, but this is a steep hill, and I need to know if you can handle the climb.
Absolutely. Your team is bigger than just us.
You'll need specialists in state and local taxes who really understand manufacturing.
And here they are.
CBIZ, your trusted local advisors, backed by specialists nationwide.
Did I say 12 states? Make it 20.
The major story out of Congress this week is House Republicans reeling from another attempt to oust their own new speaker, and they relied on Democrats to fend off a right-wing challenge. Now, there was an overwhelming vote, and this is kind of another interesting, unusual thing, a bipartisan vote on the speaker. You may recall in the beginning of the session, it's very split on party lines, and Republicans had to pick their speaker by themselves. But things have gotten so out of control that Democrats decided to be better off to protect recently elected Speaker Mike Johnson. He was under fire from MAGA Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her move was met with boos.
Are you back here?
I think today has proven the Uniparty is alive and well, and the Democrats now control Speaker Johnson.
Stunts like this does not unify our conference. Moscow Marjorie has clearly gone off the deep end, maybe the result of the space laser. Most of us, by the time we turn 12 years old, figure out that tantrums don't actually work.
Hopefully, this is the end of the personality politics and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress.
You heard Mike Johnson there, and he said it defines the 118th Congress. He's talking about himself. Let's be clear. It is that process, whatever words he wants to put on it, that got him elected, that got McCarthy booted, right? It's that right-wing bloc, Gates, MTG, and a few others that have said that they want to have this new system where everything, the speakership, whether they continue on as speaker and other big things, are subject to this party line veto. So it doesn't work well because of what they put in place. And Johnson's position is basically, okay, pull the bridge up now that he got in that way. As for the former speaker, well, he's pointing out that Johnson is doing the very thing he was encouraged not to do or threatened and punished for even thinking about doing, which was having what? Bipartisanship to beat back the likes of MTG.
I couldn't live with myself if I had to deal with the Democrats. If you can't sustain being speaker by your own majority, should you sustain it? Then my question, no. So either I'm going to win speaker and be the leader with the majority, otherwise it's not right to be the speaker.
It is a sad and frankly hard to believe statement from Kevin McCarthy, who did all kinds of things to be speaker, but he thought at the time it would be too controversial to work with the Democrats. Now he's watching his successor do exactly that. Politico is describing this as a kind of self-inflicted chaos loop. MTG is not saying whether she'll do this again, although you saw many of her Republican colleagues are upset with her. And writ large, there's a lot going on in the world. A lot of foreign policy issues, a lot of domestic challenges, Republicans getting towards a general election where they say they could, with a larger majority and the White House, deliver for the American people. And one of the problems they face is the American people right now can see what it looks like to have Republicans in charge of the House. They can't even pick their own leader, let alone continue to govern, because they're spending all their time relitigating whether they picked the right leader after replacing the last leader from the one they picked in January. Washington Post senior news anchor Libby Casey joins us now. Libby, what's going on, and is it getting worse for the Republicans with repetition?
Well, it was so interesting to see what happened this week. Marjorie Taylor Greene told our reporters on the Hill just a day before this, Ari, that there was a little bit of time. She'd been meeting with Speaker Johnson. They were having this dialogue, and then boom, out of nowhere yesterday afternoon, she was moving forward. And there was like this mad panic scurry of how we were all going to cover it and watch it. And then, to quote the great T.S. Eliot, it went out, not with a bang, but a whimper, because it was over before it started, because she couldn't even get enough people on board to get through the first procedural motion. And you're right, Democrats join with most Republicans to just put a nail in this coffin. So we put a nail in the coffin for now. It's a real loss for her. It's embarrassing in many ways that she got booed, but Donald Trump is still cheering her on from the sidelines. And even though Mike Johnson won this moment, some Republicans are saying that this it does cast a shadow over his leadership. It continues to cast that shadow. It's not like he's, how can I carry on this metaphor, Ari? It's not like he's put a stake in the heart of this thing and, the coffin's been buried deep again, because there were a handful of Republicans who sided with her, and he will likely get a challenger come November. And so we'll see if he's able to keep his speakership for longer than that. Well, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, one of her, you know, cohorts in this like, you know, help me, Ari, like, you know, the vampire coming back again and again to try to go after Speaker Johnson. You know, they were saying, they're basically saying that he's doomed and that he'll be out come November. But the real question will be, will Americans reelect Republicans to lead the House again? Because, you know, they may just get sick of this chaos.
Right. Not everyone is following everything constantly, but if you occasionally tune in, you keep seeing Republicans fighting amongst each other, which means they're not even trying to set aside time to bring other bills to the floor or govern. Does that hurt them this year?
And what are they so mad at Johnson for? He passed legislation and he passed like Ukraine funding, right? And he allowed it to go forward. And so it's not like he was a huge champion of it. He just let things finally happen. He allowed the log jam to get pushed through. And he said, you know, I've seen the intelligence, like this is a real issue. Putin could go a lot farther than Ukraine. And this is something that Marjorie Taylor Greene just can't abide by. So he's being punished for bipartisanship. He's, you know, the way it used to work on the Hill, you win some, you lose some. These days, with hardliners, they won't allow that. Now, I do have to give you the counterpoint of this. Democrats, they have fights in their party, they have different beliefs, but they are